Hello there. So it's been a while. My last video was 4 months ago, and I've noticed that I do a video about every 4 to 6 months, which when you think of it that way, I mean, it's not very often at all, but when I do a new video, it doesn't seem that it's been 6 months since my last one. I mean, they say the older you get, the faster time goes. So yeah, I'd have to agree with that. I remember my father telling me that when I hit age 16, the time would really start taking off. I think he told me this around 14 or 15, and he was right. As soon as I hit 16, time just started disappearing, and then every year it would just go by quicker and quicker and quicker. And I'm not so sure that has to do with working and keeping busy, because even now, after the accident and having quite a bit of time on my hands, it still seems like it goes by pretty fast. Some days might seem like they drag on, but generally speaking, the time moves pretty quickly. Before I forget, thank you very much, Kathy, for sending a donation. You didn't have to do that. It's very much appreciated. And anybody else who wants to support me or the channel, the information's in the description. So it's been 4 months. Not much has changed. I've been just trying to figure out what I'm going to do with my life. Financially, like what am I going to do to make money? Because what I've been doing to make money really isn't working. I can't get a wedding photography gig to save my life. The other things I do for money, it's very slow. And from other people that I've talked to, they've mentioned it the same thing. So I need to figure out a new mode of income, which is something I've been praying about quite a bit. I'm not sure exactly what I'm supposed to do, but I'm confident that everything's going to be okay, and I'll figure it out, and I'll be better than what I was before at my best. So I really do believe that. So we'll see what happens. If I don't figure out something by, I want to say February of next year, by March, it looks like me and my wife will be out of California and moving to Idaho. So we'll see what happens with that. I've never been out of California in my life to live. I think it'd be cool to live somewhere else, but generally I've been here my whole life. My support system's here, my friends are here. The Queen Mary is here, which I love very, very much. I always figured that I'd live in the mountains. That was my ultimate goal, to live in Lake Arrowhead, Big Bear, somewhere like that. So we'll see what happens. On another note, my God, it is so hot here. It's been 104 the last few days, and it's going to be like that for the rest of the week. So it kind of plateaued, so it's not too bad. But 3 days ago, and for 2 days, it was like 109 to 111. And there was just enough moisture in the air to where the swamp coolers weren't working that well. It was brutal. It was like 80, 81 in the house, and I know that's not that hot, but for us it is. I like it very cold. I'm a polar bear. If I could have it 72 degrees in here or colder, I would. So yeah, it's going to be very nice when summer's over. I've always been a winter guy. Summer's brutal, and it seems like every year me and my family just don't handle it very well. And with the health issues my wife has been challenged with, it's getting very hard for her to be able to kind of manage dealing with the heat. It really sucks. I'm not sure if I brought it up in a past video. I think I did, but I was wondering why I could not monetize my account. I've logged on to YouTube Studio, and it would say that, okay, you gave us your information, we'll let you know when you can monetize your account. But I would never get an email. And after a little more investigating, I realized that you have to have at least 1,000 watchers or subscribers. I have 574 or 547, I forget. So not quite there yet. Or you have to have a video with, I forget how many views, but it's quite a lot, which I don't have that either. So I'm working on that. Back when I was young and didn't care so much, I would probably do one of those reaction videos, but I'm not like that anymore, and I don't want to be associated with those kids that are just trying to rack up views. So I gotta really think of something interesting that people will enjoy, and I'm still working on that. So I'm going to mention something, and I'm going to try to word it in a way to, I don't want anybody to get upset, but I want them to understand where I'm coming from. Somebody made a comment on the Soft White Underbelly video, you know, a holier than thou Christian, who he's got the right answer, you know the type. You know, they have an understanding of the Bible, and they want to teach you the correct understanding of the Bible. I cannot stand people like this, and I understand these other types where they don't, you know, I don't believe in organized religion. I'm a spiritual person. I understand how people get there because of, let's just say, Christians by themselves, of Christians like that. Like, oh, it's annoying. But anybody with half a brain could think of this, okay? Okay, we all know that there's tons of Bibles written, okay? There's a New Living Translation, there's a New International Version, there's a King James Version, there's a New King James Version, there's an Amplified Bible, you get the idea, okay? Things get lost in translation just with the different Bibles. They say different things. I know the gist of it is the same, but people can get lost in just that. Okay. I'm pretty sure some of you who are know a little bit more about the Bible than others understand about, like, Constantine, how he took certain things out of the Bible to control people. It really did happen. How can I put this? So we're getting along the lines with him of, like, you know, giving money to the church, even though most scholars don't know what the exact amount is, but I think most people would agree it's probably around 10%, but still we don't know that. But, well, how does the Bible been used to control people? Well, if teachers and preachers can really put it in your head that we are bad people and we're sinning all the time, that we need to do X, Y, and Z for God to love you, or God to help you, or God to show you love, etc. Okay, so that was pushed a lot at a certain time. Constantine was one of many, but there was things that were taken out of the Bible, and this guy who commented said that that wasn't right, that I need to read this book. Oh, so you want me to read a book that shows the point that you're preaching? You know, an echo chamber. No, I'm not going to do that. And the thing about, if you want to learn something and understand other people more, you have to be able to get out of your comfort zone. It took a lot for me to get to this point. I was never one of those holier than thou types, but I was pretty fixed in my beliefs and thought that if I prayed a certain way, did this and that, you know, things would be a certain way. But it doesn't work that way, and it took me a long time to see that. So yeah, holier than thou types, not good. Okay, but let's say that there's only one Bible. Let's say that the only Bible that ever existed was the King James Version, okay? No other Bibles ever came. And let's say Constantine was never around, nothing ever got perverted about the Bible, okay? But even then, the Bible is open up to interpretation. So even though that we only have that one version, if I read a passage, I can feel that it must mean this, and person B can say, no, it means this. So that alone, you know, people aren't going to understand each other unless they're very nice, and unless they have the personality that I just mentioned, where you have to be open and agree to disagree. So yeah, if you're one of those Christians or whatever, don't do that. Seriously, no good is going to come out of that. And as a Christian, like, I mean, you're not going to help anyone. You're not going to bring anybody to God that way. You have no help. So maybe pray a little more and figure out what God wants you to do. But I would assume that he probably doesn't want you doing that. Nobody likes a holier than thou Christian. You can also say too, like people like that who's trying to tell me the right way to be. It's like, well, have you lost a kid? Have you lost a wife? Probably not. So how can you even get to the headspace that I'm in to understand how I got to thinking a certain way about this or that, etc.? I mean, most of my views on Christianity were what they were before my accident, but still you can understand how somebody would get a little lost or maybe think, no, I should think more like this rather than that, etc. Also, 2 people had commented on the Soft White Underbelly video letting me know that they had a near-death experience. And when I told them, hey, look, I really want to hear it, they said, oh yeah, I'll get back to you, and they never did. If you're watching this video, please send me a message. Like, I love hearing those stories, and I want to know exactly what you experienced, etc. So please tell me your near-death experience. I would love to hear it. I personally didn't have I didn't see any dead people when I was dying, but I did go to places, and it felt just like this. It was very real, and it was very hard to explain. But I didn't see any deceased loved ones. I didn't talk to anyone, but I had a general feeling that everything was okay. Not overwhelming like people who've had near-death experience, but just a kind of a calm feeling like everything's okay. Like, for instance, I was already not getting along with my landlord. He just wasn't very nice. But in this one place that I went, I was at a lodge in the woods with a friend of mine, and he just shows up, and he's like at the other end of the lodge, and we kind of just look at it, and we kind of just like nod to each other, like, hey, how are you? Like, none of that, anger or us not getting along, none of that existed. It didn't mean anything while I was having that experience. Does anybody have any idea of what I should do for a living? Everybody kept sending me, leaving me comments that I should, like visit kids in high school and let them know not to drink and drive, that this could happen, or have like a TED conference or something, but not TED, like just go places and share my story. But I reached out to a few places and they weren't interested, and I don't think I'm getting the views that are really conducive for that on YouTube. But at the same time, if I help one person, it did what it's supposed to do. And I'm still doing the videos, and the Soft White Underbelly video gets plenty of views every day. It's climbing and climbing, and so are my videos. Like I said, I have 574 around there subscribers, so I do get new watchers, but just not very many. But I know that the videos are reaching people. Yeah, so let me know what you think that I would be good at. Before the accident, I was doing eBay. I had been doing eBay since 2001. A lot of photography equipment was mainly what I was doing around the time of the accident, but I know a lot about a lot of stuff, vintage jewelry, not just jewelry that's gold and silver, but just all kinds of jewelry. I know a lot about that. Hawaiian shirts from the 50s, antiques in general, 1920s lamps, early 1900s. I know a lot about a lot of stuff. I've had some pretty good teachers, and I've worked in an antique store, and yeah, I love doing that, but it's amazing. It's just not bringing in what it brings in. And eBay has done some really horrible things to where they're screwing over their sellers. It makes them more money, but their sellers are losing out. You know, I was one of those that not that long ago would say, you know, that's a horrible outlook on life, is to think that rich people or corporations are out to get you. But in a way, they kind of are. At least for this instance, they're in the wrong. So how can I explain this? Okay, back in the day on eBay, if you had something that somebody wanted, they would buy it. Okay. Well, now nobody just buys it; they put it in their watch list, because years ago, I want to say maybe 5 years ago, it got big. eBay was telling the sellers that you should send out offers, and buyers know this, so they just put everything in their watch list to get another, at the very minimum, 5% off. So the sellers are making less right there, and besides being feed to death and kind of being forced to ship for free, and if you don't ship for free, they take out a percentage of your shipping money as well. So yeah, eBay has really done some shady stuff. So it'd be nice to do something else. It would be nice to do YouTube. I just don't know exactly what to do or what to talk about. There's plenty of people doing photography, which is pretty much what I know. I've been a photographer since '99. There's plenty of people doing eBay, or telling you how to make it big on eBay, or what things to look for on eBay. And plus, I'm kind of over eBay. I really don't want to do that. But if that was my only choice, I would do it. But still, there's just too many people doing it. I don't think it's going to get the views that it should. So that's kind of where I'm at. I just don't know what to talk about video-wise. Well, I don't want to bore you too much, considering I don't really know what else to... I need to write it down next time. So if I bored you, I'm sorry. But comment, let me know what's going on. Tell me what you want me to talk about. Or if you have any questions, I answer the comments pretty quickly. So it's nice talking to you all, and I look forward to hearing from you all. See you then.